All right, today we're going to be talking about how we look at landscape again. Last week we did sort of a realistic landscape, sort of realistic. This week we're going to look at how we can do that sort of realistic landscape, but then also abstract and how we can change it, make it a little different. And so we want to talk a little bit about what is abstraction and how do we want to try to create that sort of abstraction. We're going to start with talking about movement in our works of art. Movement is that path that the eye takes when it looks at a work of art. And often that the path the eye is directed to is that path towards that focal point. The focal point of a work of art is the area that our eyes naturally sort of want to look at most. And so when we look at this work of art, uh, everybody might be a little different, but for me, it becomes this very central dark block here. And there's a couple of different reasons it becomes that. First of all, we've got all these vertical lines that go left to right. We have some horizontal lines that are going up and down. So we almost sort of kind of get a grid like pattern. But interrupting that grid like pattern are these diagonal lines. And those diagonal lines, look where that one points. It points to that sort of centrally located center area. This one points to it. This one points to it. This one sort of almost points to it. Kind of goes into that area. So we've got a lot of movement, our eyes moving towards that focal point. So to create movement, there's lots of different things that artists can do. Let's take a look here. So Ansel Adams is a photographer who I absolutely love. He did a lot of black and white photography of landscapes. In this photograph, he captures the curving lines of the water. It runs through that landscape. This brings our eye towards the main part of the artwork. Uneven zigzag lines of the mountains also create that movement. And we're going to talk about how we're going to create maybe something like this today, where we look at those mountains and maybe some type of road or river type of path. When we look at Paul Signet, let's look at his work. The Seascape is packed full of all sorts of lines, including diagonal and parallel lines. Diagonal lines on the side of the painting create a path for the viewer's eyes to reach the jagged landform in the background of the painting. So if you notice what they're saying here is in the background, we see this sort of mountain-esque shape here in the back, and it's sort of jagged. But it's really these lines, these vertical lines that bring our eyes into that space. And another way that's sort of created, not only is that shape, but again, we look at that value, the dark here of these boats really sort of bring our eye there, which then brings our eye to those that verticals that then take our eye into this much softer and maybe less noticeable at first jagged area in the back. Claude Monet is one of my favorite impressionists. He created his landscape by laying curved lines to create illusion of grass, flower stems, and leaves along the pathway, which draw our eyes towards that curvy path. So you can kind of see the curve here. And our eyes naturally sort of want to, our brain kind of wants us to follow paths. If there's a gate in a fence, our eyes naturally sort of want to take a look at how that path goes through that gate and so forth. Um, in this painting by Estee, many of the trees are slanted to the left, almost creating the illusion of wind blowing those trees in that direction. The grass underneath the trees is slanted to the left too, which guides the viewer's eyes to one side of the artwork. And so if you'll see here, this vertical line here sort of pulls our eyes. This line sort of pulls our eyes that direction, but then also that leaning, these vertical lines going at this slant. Everything sort of kind of pulls our eyes to the left and a little up to the left as well. So, abstract landscapes. After viewing different kinds of landscapes, you might have questions about what makes a landscape abstract. A landscape that's considered abstract if the elements of arts and principles of design used to create it have been altered to show a real subject or setting in a very different way. So we're going to take a look at a few ways that you can create abstractions. In Paul Klee's painting here, first you may not see the landscape, but you got to look closely, and then you can start to see that there's some mountains and that sort of thing kind of going on. There are dark forms that shape trees. We can see those trees here in the background. Organic shapes. We also see buildings, these geometric shapes. Diagonal lines that create those pointing upward lines. Staircase. We see the staircase maybe into an opening here and what looks like a building. Salvador Dali was a surrealist who did some really unique things. And this abstract landscape looks like it came right out of a dream. His paintings are very dreamlike, had dreamlike qualities. A viewer can tell it's a landscape because of the traditional horizon line that divides the earth from the sky. But certain parts of the landscape are quite abstract, like the jagged lines of the tree branches growing out of the old car. So again, we see why is that there? So displacement is what we call this little bit a type of displacement where there's something there that shouldn't be, that's very strange, that maybe sort of uh, misplaced. It's not in the place it should be, whatever it might be. Very often, he would put eggs in paintings and things that where an egg wouldn't normally be, that sort of thing. Pablo Picasso was the father of what we call Cubism, and the Cubists sort of broke up these things in different planes. Sometimes they use what we call those continued contour lines. The contour line is a line that goes around the outside of an object or defines the shape of an object. And sometimes they would continue those lines off into space and help break up those spaces. This landscape is quite recognizable to artists around the world, but is not painted in a realistic style. It's called Cubism. The hard edged geometric shapes move the eye through the painting. And so it was more than just using geometric shapes. They were looking at objects from different angles, and they were able to use those different broken up little planes and sections to show like maybe a person from different angles at the same time, that sort of thing. So we're going to take a look at how you all are going to create a, a realistic landscape and a an abstract landscape in the same work of art. And so we're going to look at some tips and tricks here on how you can begin. And so let's take a look at this painting. This is sort of a realistic little drawing. And now we're going to look at what are some ways that they decided to abstract it. So the first we see maybe that color, although I've seen the skies that look like that. So maybe that's kind of real. The orange is where the orange is supposed to be. But that road's got like a wallpaper pattern on it. Well, again, that's for that displacement. We see something there that's not really supposed to be there. The abstracted shapes and color of the tree branches and so forth. Definitely, um, that making use of pattern. And so, anytime you see pattern being used in place of a typical texture, that's a clue that this is an abstraction. Scale and proportion, meaning things may be larger than they normally should be, and that sort of thing. They're talking about specifically this flower. If you look at the flower, it's really big. That might also show its perspective, where it's just really close as well. And then altered colors or abstracted colors, where the colors aren't exactly what they should be, wild and crazy colors. So in our studio time this week, what we're going to do is we're going to do not three sections. We're going to do a two section. Let's see. Let's see if I think I know. We're going to stop there. We're going to do a two section painting, a drawing. We're going to start off on. I'm going to use chrome canvas, but if you have paper with crayons and markers, color pencils, or anything like that, please bring those, and you're more welcome to use those materials. But we're going to take our canvas or our drawing surface, and we're going to divide it right down the middle, and we're going to do one big drawing, nice realistic drawing. And on one side, we're going to create what we believe would be sort of a realistic landscape, and on the other side, we're going to make it very abstracted, very different. We're going to maybe use some displacement, put something in there that doesn't belong. Maybe we're going to maybe use some altered color, continued contour lines, those geometric shapes break up the plane into different colors and shapes. And so that's what we're going to be doing in our studio time. I can't wait to see you guys there. Don't go anywhere. Got to take a roll.